On today's show, the brand new Spider-Man trailer. It didn't drop, but the Godzilla trailer did, so we'll talk about that. And Triple Frontier, Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, plus the Brightburn trailer, all that and more on Collider Movie Talk starting right now. A lot of people disappointed. A lot of people disappointed in news outlets reporting that we would get the Spider-Man trailer dropping. So, hello, everybody. We are a Spider-Man-less movie talk, but that makes sense for the world we live in because he wasn't feeling so good and he's dust now. The trailer has not materialized, nor has Spider-Man himself. I am joined by Mark Yodi. Reilly, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. Good to be here, my friend.
Dennis Tzeng also joining us here on this Monday.
Yeah, we're in the Bizarro universe, mirror universe, where you're on that side and I'm on this side.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Yes.
What happened?
A tough Monday for everybody watching the show because Perry Nemiroff and John Roque, our usual Monday crew alongside myself, are currently watching Aquaman. So they are underwater. They're watching Jason Momoa, Amber Heard and company go fight evil. Dennis, you and I are going to see that tonight. Are you excited about Aquaman?
I am excited because I've been hearing a lot of good things about it, and he was one of the better parts of Justice League.
He was one of my favorite parts of Justice League, of course. I like Justice League. Yoda, you seen that movie tonight, or are you taking the night to yourself?
No, I'm not seeing that movie tonight.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I honestly didn't know.
I didn't get an invite. I didn't. Nobody plus one'd me, so I think what I'm going to do is go opening night with and have a nice date night. That's I prefer that sometimes. I like going opening night to these big movies. So
I get to see the screening, but Mark Reilly has a significant other. Point Reilly. We move on to our first story, and that would be the weekend that was at the box office. Well, this is one of those weekends between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So certain people might say it's not exactly a smocking hot weekend at the box office, but there was still a movie that came in number one, and that would be Ralph, breaking the internet once again. Ralph breaks the internet to the tune of $16.2 million. Dr. Seuss's The Grinch right on its heels, a little over $15 million. Creed 3, estimates had it at 10.3, ended up doing just a shade under $10 million, followed by Fantastic Beasts and where to find that sequel, and then Bohemian Rhapsody. Here's something fun. Bohemian Rhapsody, coming in number 5, has done better by about $30 million than Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald here in the United States. Now, overseas, Bohemian Rhapsody doing well, but Fantastic Beasts has a huge audience. As far as these other movies we're talking about in the top 5, maybe all of them are overshadowed, at least in Hollywood circles, by what came out at the specialty box office. The movies that were in very limited release but have Oscar hopes, that would be Mary Queen of Scots, Vox Lux, and Ben is Back. They all came out very tiny releases. They're going to expand wider as the weeks go by leading up towards Christmas. So, Mark Reilly, I will simply ask you, it's a box office weekend that many would consider forgettable. So is there anything you will remember about December 7th through the 9th?
What stands out to me is The Grinch, really, is that it premiered. People liked it. I didn't hear a lot about it, but it really shows the Christmas crowd is going and keeps going to that one because it's remained in this number 2 spot right under Ralph Breaks the Internet. So that's really sticking out to me. And I was thinking about it. It's like, of course it's going to do well. It's perfect. It's perfect timing. It's the animation. It's a story we all know and love. I love that Creed 2 is still hanging in there. And Fantastic Beasts, it's hanging around. We're getting to that point now that all of this top 5 here is going to be wiped out. Because we've got Aquaman, Mary Poppins, Bumblebee, Into the Spider-Verse. That's going to be your top 5 for the remainder of the year, probably. So, but I'm glad to see Bohemian Rhapsody doing well. Domestically beating Crimes of Grindelwald, that should tell you a lot. And it's telling me that the Harry Potter fans or the fans of the magical universe here, they're not too pleased with this movie, but overseas it's doing well. I still believe we'll get a third one.
The Harry Potter fans, they're moving out of the country, Dennis. It's crazy. You know what else is interesting, though, is that Dr. Seuss's The Grinch is doing better at the box office by Ralph Breaks the Internet. Now, obviously, Ralph came out a couple weeks after The Grinch, and so Ralph won the weekend. But The Grinch is winning the battle to the tune of $223 million domestically to Ralph's $140 million. So it might behoove Ralph next time there's a Ralph movie coming out to open a few weeks before Thanksgiving and beat the rush. That's what The Grinch did. Seems to pay off.
Yeah, I don't think they realized how big of competition The Grinch was going to be. I mean, Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's a highly anticipated sequel to a movie that I think most people loved. For me, yeah, the weird thing is I read that this was the second lowest box office weekend for the year, which I was quite surprised. I know it's, nothing big opened up, but at the same time, I wasn't thinking, between, November and December, because this is usually a good time for movies, that it would be that low. I was thinking, beginning of January, or those kind of dog days of the end of summer, for end of August, early September, when there's nothing really going on. But this being the second lowest, that was a bit surprising. And Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah, it's just killing it. I wouldn't have thought, like you mentioned, that movie would be beating Fantastic Beasts 2 domestically. They never would have imagined that.
I think this might be the first weekend where movies might really fall victim to just families and people in general having other plans. A lot of Christmas parties this past weekend, getting the office Christmas party in. I saw Creed 2. I was in Boise. Thanks to everybody that came to see me tell laughs at Liquid Laughs in Boise, Idaho. It's a fun time. Found some time during the day to see Creed 2. Happy to see that about to cross the 100 million mark. It's going to do that at some point this weekend. As we look forward, though, to this coming weekend's box office, Reilly, Dennis and I were just talking about it off air. What are the chances that Mortal Engines does anything in the box office? Because they're solely relying on the name Peter Jackson. You have Clint Eastwood, Bradley Cooper in an Oscar-feeling film, The Mule. I think Spider-Verse is going to come out. It was projected last week to be around $30 million. Do you see it being number one?
I do see it being number one. I think word of mouth now on this, universally, like the critics are loving it. I know there was one guy that didn't like the animation, so that Rotten Tomatoes score dropped a little.
Yeah, I know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, he was not a fan of the animation, which couldn't disagree more. I think it's some of the best and most original animation I've seen. We've said it a bunch of times. The comic comes to life. That's the point. But that story, it's one of the best Spider-Man movies we've seen. It's one of my favorites of the year. I have seen it. And I think that word of mouth is really going to help, because now people are like, wait a minute, I have to check this out. So I think it's going to be number one. And I want to say that projection should go up. I really think we should look at the 40 to 50 million rather than 30 million.
All right, Dennis, do you think he can get that high?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of buzz going about it, despite the one negative critic about the film. It was projected 30 something, but 40 to 50 I think is definitely possible. Everyone's raving about this. I think kids are going to want to see it, and then let's say opening weekend, maybe it does pretty well, but I think it's going to have legs, because what's going to happen is the kids that watch it are going to be raving about it, and the kids who didn't see it are wondering what those kids are talking about, and they're going to, beg their parents to take them. So I think it's going to be, even if it doesn't have a huge opening, that it's just going to keep going and going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you also look at what it's going to have to deal with the following week, because it doesn't even get a full week to enjoy being the biggest game in town from a family standpoint. Mary Poppins Returns the following Wednesday, December 19th, and you get Bumblebee, which people are raving about. They've seen it. Obviously Aquaman 2 that same weekend. So the competition, there wasn't a lot new in the box office this weekend, but it's coming around the corner just in time for the holidays. We move on to our next story, which, I'll be honest, was going to be the Spider-Man trailer. It hasn't arrived yet, we'll probably save that one for tomorrow. Pump the brakes on that. If you want to see a breakdown of what the trailer has, it did play. The trailer's finished, and it aired for an audience in Brazil at the Comic-Con experience in Sao Paulo, but Frosty was there and got to see it, got to check it out. You can't keep Frosty away from Brazil, so he was there enjoying it. He gave a detailed kind of description review of what is in the trailer. I have not read it. I don't like reading personally.
I'm with you.
The stuff that you see.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, but if you want to check it out, you can on Collider.
Yeah, I've read it, and I think he had assumed that the trailer was going to just drop right after it, so he kind of didn't put in his mind to remember every little detail. But I think the thing that most people, spoilers, if you don't want to know anything about Spider-Man, is that Mysterio was in it, and that the costume is very close to what the comic book rendition is, which is quite surprising to me because I thought they would veer a little way. Because I mean, let's be real, I like Mysterio, but he's got a goldfish bowl on the top of his head.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal, he's not that unaccustomed to having bubbles on his person. He was Bubble Boy at the dawn of the new millennium.
Which I contend is an entertaining movie.
Have you seen that Photoshop picture now? No. It's Bubble Boy as the fishbowl on the costume of Mysterio. So well done, Internet. You never let me down.
The internet wins, as it always does. But we do have a superhero trailer to talk about. Kind of. The movie's called Brightburn. It's from producer James Gunn. It was written by two other Gunns, and it's directed by David Urefsky, who has worked on some of the Guardians films in various degrees. So when you hear the talent that's involved behind the camera and you hear Brightburn, what's this movie about? You watch the trailer and you say, this is Superman. This is Man of Steel set to some John Williams, Hans Zimmer style scoring, and the trailer feels beat for beat like what we get with the Superman origin story. Elizabeth Banks is in it, but the kid that is supposed to be Superman, it might not go the way that Superman goes. You see, it takes a rare alien to come to Earth anyway. It takes an even rarer alien to actually be as good and as noble and as justice craving as Superman. This kid... Well, Dennis, this is why you don't have kids.
I don't know about that one, but this is a movie that was not on my radar, and everyone was talking about and raving about this trailer, and I saw it, and it's weird because it's like, instead of like the mockumentary style that we got with Chronicle, this is more of a classic, almost superhero telling, but then it twists into a horror film, and I like that a lot.
I'm so glad you brought up Chronicle because, Reilly, Dennis is 100% dead on with the feeling of Chronicle that just because some kid gets superpowers doesn't mean they're using it for what we all would like to think the best version of ourselves is using superhero. If you gave me superpowers tomorrow, I don't know what I would do with them. I'd probably end up being a dick. I don't know. But this kid, clearly, he's not for the side of good. Is something else going to stop him? Are his parents going to ground him? What is going to happen with this kid? And more importantly, because I know you're a huge Superman honk, is this going to follow the story of Superman, or is this trailer just cut together to give us the parallels to Superman, and then the story is going to take its own path?
I'd like to assume, and I hope that it does that this trailer is made specifically for fans like us, fans of superhero movies, to go, wait a minute, is this like a dark retelling of Clark Kent, Kal-El, and the Kents? And then it kind of becomes its own thing. It looks that way. But the idea of a superpowered being coming to Earth with superpowers and then going that way instead of that way is what fascinates me. And you go to the telling of Kal-El landing on Earth, you always got to give credit to Mom and Pa Kent. If they didn't have their heads on correctly, then Kal-El might be somebody else. We don't know, but it's the teachings of his parents that we learned that got Kal-El in the right direction. This just seems like he is like, honey, we need to talk about Clark. But we have a different name. It's just an inspiration here by using the Man of Steel font, by using the music, the swing. It's doing that little heavy-handed nod, like, we want you to think about this. And I'm hoping that that's the filmmakers, that's the marketing intention behind it. So when you go in, you're blown away, because I love the idea. I think it's a very original, very simple idea here. The what if scenario, which we've seen in comics before many times, the what if scenarios of certain things. What if a superpowered being had something, had a screw loose, and I think we're going to see that with this. I love this trailer so much.
Yeah, there's there's that shot of him floating in the air when they have a close up of just the red cape.
The red cape
as he's floating. It's like obviously
it's obvious Superman, but I will say, and I did get, when I tweeted this out, there were people like, how dare you sully the Superman mythos from this? And it's like, well, I would argue that when you're a little kid, you're putting on a cape, whether that's Superman, Batman, any of the number of superheroes that have capes. I think that it's a stretch. I get it. I don't think they're intentionally harming the Superman mythology here. I think they're subverting it and doing that what if scenario. And I think it's a very fascinating idea to explore.
What's the audience for this movie going to be like? Because it comes out March 24th, 2019. That's a prime weekend at the box office. And it's the weekend before Godzilla, King of the Monsters comes out, which we will talk about in just a second. It's a week after John Wick 3. It also happens to be the same week that Aladdin drops. Live action Aladdin dropping. I think that this is great counter programming to Aladdin. I think that this is going to be for hardcore comic book movie fans, which are not necessarily a minority at the box office right now. So I think people show up in full force for something like this. I think this movie has a chance to surprise a lot of people like the trailer did for us today.
Yeah, I want to know the rating first, because I'm looking at this more as a horror movie and not a superhero movie. This is definitely has horror elements all throughout it, while mimicking the Man of Steel trailer, while subverting that expectation. As I said, I mean, you have the classic, she walks outside and, hey, where are you? And then something in the distance. And then, him banging on the thing, talking to the husband. And then that great last scene where that waitress looks like she did. It looks like she ran afoul of this guy. You have the weird symbols that kind of conjure a lot of different kind of like The Ritual that was just on Netflix. Blair Witch, sure, those funky symbols. But the connection that kid has to whatever that ship is, wherever he came, there's a lot of horror stuff in there. I think that's your audience. And if it's R-rated, then we're talking about horror people coming. And people that fall on both, like me, that's an opening night kind of show.
Dennis, you agree with that this is a horror movie? You market it as such, and then you hope for the comic book movies to be the sort of icing on the cake.
Yeah, I think this should be a rated R movie, and I definitely feel like it's really a horror movie at heart. It starts off as a comic book movie and then turns, and hopefully people get that and come into the theater. I think it is nice counter programming because it's not going to be warm and fluffy, and I do hope it's not PG-13 and it's rated R, because we want to be afraid of that kid. We want to be like, man, this kid is psycho.
And I'm being the horror guy. I mean, Superman has these powers. So if we are saying, I mean, we see this kid, right? He has super strength, it looks like, the fork in his mouth. We see flight. He might be able to fly, and he takes her out at the end with speed. When you think about Superman, I mean, he can wreck people with his powers. What would that do? What a hard R, seeing the powers of a superpowered being killing people is something we've never really seen before, I think. I'm not conjuring anything to mind per se right now, but I think that is something as a horror guy I would love to see. I want to be scared, and I want to, oh, God, I would love that.
Who can stop the baby, the little kid, the whatever it's going to grow into in Brightburn? The movie's written by Mark and Brian Gunn, I believe. And so Mark Gunn is the cousin of the Gunn brothers, which includes James Gunn, Sean Gunn, Patrick Gunn, and Matt Gunn. So it's lots of guns. Lots of guns. The double N guns in there. Fun fact, the movie is coming out, obviously, not just here in America, in France. You know the name of this movie? Of Brightburn? It's L'Enfant du Mal. Like enfant du mal, like mal being bad. So like bad, the bad infant, the bad baby. Is this a reboot of It's Alive, the classic horror series of a baby that goes crazy? Find out more. We keep you guys posted as we learn more details and when we get the rating for Brightburn in theaters May 24th of 2019. Before we move on to the really cool Godzilla trailer, I want to remind you all that we mentioned Bumblebee up top. It's one of the movies that's coming out around Christmas time. Roca and Perry saw it, and they have a review that's up right now on Collider Video. And John Roca and Matt Nose host Collider Sports Time. I was lucky enough to be on this morning alongside Jared Haven, so check out what we had to say about the week that was in the NFL, the NBA, and all that good stuff. Pretty incredible play at the end of the Patriots game. Jared Haven wasn't happy about it, and I'm a Redskins fan, so I just kind of sit in the corner. Godzilla King of the Monsters is up next. Warner Brothers has another trailer for their movie that comes out, like I said, May 31st, 2019. And if this trailer is any indication, May 31st cannot get here fast enough, because I loved watching this trailer. You see the hints of Mothra and you see Ghidorah. Ghidorah maybe stole the show. The three heads of Ghidorah, that was amazing. Rodan is in there too, some sort of crazy dinosaur. And the way that they talk about this in the trailer, the humans do. And by the way, the human stars of this movie have Vera Farmiga, Kyle Chandler, Millie Bobby Brown, and obviously the Monarch cryptozoology division. Do we have a cryptozoology? We don't have cryptozoology here yet at Collider, but we're working on that channel.
We just posted a job listing.
The way that they treat Godzilla in this, where they say, so Godzilla should be our pet, and then obviously you have, no, we are the pets
Ken
of
Watanabe,
Godzilla. Man. Ken Watanabe delivering that great line. Dennis Tzeng, Godzilla. So Godzilla is just kind of like we're just calling him out of the bullpen to go take care of all these other monsters. Is that the vibe you got watching this trailer?
Yeah, because we need his help.
Yeah, we do.
We need him. Like he's the only one that can take down the other what they call titans, the other monsters. Yeah, this trailer was great. It veers off different from the previous ones where they used that Claire de Luna classical music song, and this one kind of goes more into the let's just show you all the visual spectacle of all the different monsters. They show you, like you mentioned, like Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah, and then that end shot of Godzilla and Ghidorah running at each other. I think they're gonna veer away. I liked the first one, but a lot of people complained like there wasn't enough Godzilla. We didn't get to see him. They hit him. I don't think that's gonna be the case in this one. They're gonna show him the whole time. Maybe the first like 20, 30 minutes, they'll be like, okay, building it up. But once he comes out of the water, he's going to be full on like killing other monsters.
Yeah, Riley, I mean, if you title this movie Godzilla King of the Monsters, I'm expecting something a little different than what we got with Godzilla. I love the first Godzilla movie. I thought we saw enough of Godzilla to make me happy, but I'd be lying if I said after watching that movie, I immediately wanted to see Godzilla on screen fighting a bunch of other monsters. To Dennis's point, you think we get about 20 minutes of build up here, and then it is just monster party, and only one is going to make it out alive.
Yeah, I think we're going to.
Maybe two.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of him now. I think the message was received. I think there was, even in the write-up on .com, it was like, Godzilla, it was kind of mixed. There were people that were like crazy about it. The biggest, I think, problem with a lot of it was, hey, I wanted Godzilla in my Godzilla movie, and they didn't get it. It landed great with me. I saw Jaws references in there. I felt the Jaws references. Don't show it for, not because the monster's not working, but because he wanted to build some tension. That worked for me.
This monster ain't working.
Yeah,
it's not the monster's fault. It's the VFX guys.
Yeah, Godzilla. They put the big Godzilla, down, and then went.
The guy in the suit's taking a nap.
And it just took a nap or whatever. No, but I thought that was a clever and an interesting thing for me. It worked for me. I get it why it didn't work for a lot of people. But here we go. This trailer is telling us right now, it's showing its cards. We are going to see monsters in action. We are going to see them. I expect we're going to see them pretty early on. And it's that last shot was just geeky wonder. I was screaming because I've never seen Godzilla move that fast.
Yeah.
Damn, that guy can sprint.
He's been working out, doing a lot of plyometric training.
Whew, I love it.
Yeah, a lot of cone drills. Like Godzilla's ready for the combine.
Box jumps. He's
doing his box jumps.
Yeah, he is ready, and I love the idea of, he's our pet. No, we're his pet, and so that's an interesting story. But it looks like that Earth is just ravaged. It looks like an apocalypse. You see Rodan flying over, and it's just burning things as he's flying over. This is great.
Okay, so we have a lot of people commenting on this and all the other trailers that we're talking about.
Sure.
Thunder God Kiro 770 says, I still wonder what kind of buff they're going to have to give King Kong to make him remotely capable of fighting Godzilla. Don't worry about that, okay? King Kong I know Godzilla's been working out, and he looks like he shaved a few lbs since the last movie, but King Kong is in prime shape. He's healed from the wounds he got when the helicopters attacked him and got in King Kong Skull Island. So he's going to be just fine, but I expect we're getting some sort of King Kong tease at the end of this movie, because these are all the Titans, and it's like King Kong. It's almost like King Kong has a bye week, Dennis, where he's just going to let everybody else fight it out. Then he plays the winner, and then we get Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that, because they had that in the original Toho the movie series, where they had, I think they had, it was supposed to be like a draw or something like that. I can't remember exactly what happened.
I remember King Kong winning. Yeah, that was a big thing for me, because he goes back in the ocean.
Yeah, I think they cut it like two different ways or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, but we get to see the rematch. and that's the one that we're waiting for. I do think King Kong is supposed to be shorter than Godzilla, so I don't know if he's going to wear some like platform shoes to fight Godzilla or not.
He's going to be wearing cleats.
They made him bigger in Kong Skull Island.
He's bigger than Kongs have in the past.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so I still think it can work. I still think that if he's even smaller than Godzilla, he's a giant ape. He can probably move a little bit faster, although, Godzilla's moving pretty fast now. But jumping and, grabbing, maybe he's going to choke him here. I mean, I can make it work in my head.
Hey, it's always, when you go out and everybody goes out drinking, it's never the big guy you got to worry about. It's the little guy. That's the one that thinks it's fun to try to fight a team of Navy SEALs or punch a cop. That's the one you got to worry about when you kids are all drinking age out there. Well, before we get to our last story, first of all, I want to remind you guys, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions at the end of this show. You can tweet us anytime at Collider Video and use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. A bunch of people are asking, so before we move on to the Triple Frontier trailer, which is a movie coming out on Netflix next year that we're excited to talk about, we haven't talked about the Avengers Endgame trailer on Movie Talk properly because Movie Talk doesn't air on Friday. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to quickly get y'all's reaction because the internet simply will not continue to sustain itself unless they hear us talk about it on Movie Talk. Dropped Friday morning. Mark Reilly, are you prepared to speak?
I love the trailer. I thought it was the use of character, emotional stakes rather than giant set pieces, action, any of that. I thought was a genius move. We don't need a lot with this movie. You tell me that Avengers Endgame now is coming out. I don't even need to see a trailer. I know that we're going to have some marketing hype around it. I know we're going to get more trailers. I would plead to Hollywood that this is how you do it, because not only do you get some great character moments, and it's just this great kind of build to the very end with Scott Lang coming and saying, "Hey, I'm your hope. Ant-Man is your only hope here." I loved that, but just it felt so grounded and so like the emotional stakes were so great. I was completely invested. Didn't need to see any Avengers form up. Didn't even to see any kind of money shot, and it was the most powerful of trailers I've seen in a long time. And the reveal of the title, I really want to see in Star Wars Episode 9. I think they should release the trailer and then reveal the name at the end, because that I was geeking out.
Yeah,
I mean, we had been building to this moment. Like, what the hell is the name?
You're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Because most people, you watch a trailer online and it doesn't say Avengers 4 trailer, at least mine did. Mine said, click here to watch the Avengers Endgame trailer. And I'm like, well, I guess that's the time.
Yeah, I was one of the lucky ones. I did not notice. I saw the Russo brothers tweet it.
Yeah.
Said, thank you for your patience. And there it was. And I went, oh. And that's I watched it.
How to do it then, Dennis.
And then, and that was very, very, I got to say, they got me. All that speculation, all the year that we've been waiting, and, adding my own 2 cents in was like, what's the last song you listened to? That's your Avengers 4 trailer. It's like, well, great. Avengers White Christmas. That was mine. So I loved that. I was so invested in this, and you got me, and I think it's a great title. It makes sense. Great trailer. All
right. Avengers Fat Bottom Girls is not the title of the movie. It is, in fact, Endgame. Dennis, your thoughts on the Endgame trailer. Did you click on it knowing it was Endgame, or did you get surprised too?
Because it was all over the internet beforehand. Plus, me and Roka did a reaction to it. Good. So we already knew the name of it. I liked it. I think they did what they needed to do. I would say this. There's very few franchises that can do this, one being Avengers / the MCU, and then 2 being Star Wars, where you can show very little, you can tease stuff, and people will still come and see it. But if you're doing like a brand new, like Godzilla, right? You can't not show Ghidorah fighting Godzilla. You can't not show all these things because you need to get people into the theater. But those are 2 franchises that have the luxury of going, you know what, we don't have to show you anything because you're going to come watch it anyways, and it actually builds up the anticipation.
Yeah, I didn't buy Captain America at all, and he's like, yeah, this is going to work as it has to. I'm like, do you really think that? You don't seem that confident. I like that they opened this trailer and the first half of it focused on Tony Stark, because we've never seen this version of Tony Stark. Even when he was in the cave in Afghanistan, he still had a level of desperation, but also some level of confidence once he started creating that machine. It didn't seem that confident here at all. He seems like he's just about to give up hope, but then you have the word rescue, and it was interesting. I would recommend watching Collider Heroes Day because Corey Jandreau was in the office today because, again, he heard there's going to be the Spider-Man trailer. So anytime there's a new trailer that involves the MCU, he's here. He's bouncing off the walls. He's really excited. So he didn't get to gush about Spider-Man, so he was talking to me about his theories on the Endgame trailer. And there's some stuff with very interesting with the word rescue in there, with what he thinks is the hint that you get with Ant-Man and Scott Lang at the end, which I thought was hilarious. So I like that they tagged it with that because they gave us something positive.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really believe Cap believed what he was saying. Like this is going to work as it has to. And like I know he's the bad guy. Thanos, he looks like he's happy. I'm happy for him.
He accomplished his goal.
The villain won.
Did you see the vegetation on that planet?
Yeah.
Oh boy,
I guess
just lots of carrots growing.
Yeah, it doesn't wipe out half of plant life, I guess, because he's having fun over there.
There's half as many chubby people running around trying to eat it. So
I guess so.
Finally, you can go to In-N-Out and get In-N-Out within 30 minutes. Thanos did us all a favor, all the ones who survived. All right, we're going to move on to our last story, and then it's time for your Twitter questions. It's a Triple Frontier trailer. This one completely took me by surprise. It's a movie that we've been reporting on, directed by J.C. Chandor. Now, why is that name important? Well, he also directed A Most Violent Year. Why is that important? Well, it's a really cool slow burn movie, but it also stars Oscar Isaac, who is one of the stars of this, alongside Ben Affleck, Garrett Hedlund. This movie, Charlie Hunnam's in the film too. This movie looks really cool because it's a special forces types and they're reuniting for one last mission, but this last mission isn't because somebody in the government called them or because there's some sort of alien in South America terrorizing the villagers. It's because they're going to get theirs. They're tired of not being able to pay for their kids' college or have to scrimp by with all they've done for their country. So they get together and they decide to rob some people in South America, and it looks pretty dangerous. Ben Affleck's telling them, hey, this may not go the way you think it is. Will it go the way we think it is? We're going to find out next year on Netflix. Very excited. Loved watching this trailer. This is the kind of movie I really dig. It was originally going to be done by Catherine Bigelow. She was going to be directing it, which I would have all the confidence in the world in, given the Hurt Locker and 0 Dark 30, Point Break. Now it's directed by J.C. Chandor because schedules got conflicting and all that sort of good stuff. So, Mark Reilly, you also saw the Triple Frontier trailer. Is this movie on your to-watch docket once it comes out in March of 2019?
Absolutely. It's a great trailer. I didn't know a lot about it. I know we've been talking about it, but I didn't know the story about it. So it's very interesting to see what's the politics behind that. I mean, I felt like there was a little bit of you're not taking care of our veterans. This is our thing that we're going to do right now. Take care of ourselves. I want to look at our family. So the stakes are really high. The cast is great.
Pedro Pascal also in it.
Pascal. Yeah. And I think the action looks great. And I continued to marvel at Netflix and the content that they are creating, that they're giving us you mentioned like 0 Dark 30, Hurt Locker, they're giving us movies like this that I can just go boop and put it on. And, again, I've always said I do love my movies in the theater, but this is a great and interesting experiment to see, are these big budget movies with these A-list actors are going to play very well at home. We look at Bright. That's doing well. The Christmas Chronicle, I guess, was downloaded 20 million times. So, a lot of people wanted to see that. But this is like A-list at its best. I'm looking at this and going, how is The Irishman going to land? I know we reported last week that De Niro was saying that, no, it's going to be in theaters. That one I really hope. But this trailer was great. Yeah, we got some great trailers out there right now.
Yeah,
they're whetting my appetite.
With Netflix, I feel like you're getting me excited again.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for that movie that really hits me, and I'm like, boom, we did it.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe it was going to be Bright, but maybe it was going to be Mowgli once that went to Netflix.
Yeah.
Thought maybe it's going to be this. I hope it is. It looks like it could be. Thought it could have been War Machine with Brad Pitt. Just nothing has really leapt out there, Dennis, and grabbed me by the throat the way that I thought it would by now, given all the money they're sinking into this type of fare. You also have 6 Underground coming out with Ryan Reynolds. Maybe that's the one. Or do you think it's going to be Triple Frontier, or have you already been sold on what Netflix is giving us from an original film standpoint?
From an original film standpoint, no. Yes, it hasn't been up to par with the quality of their television series that are original content for them. This one, though, I mean, when you first start off, obviously, like within the first few seconds, it says, from Netflix. But if you didn't see that, you would have thought this movie was coming out in theaters. There's no way. You look at that cast, you look at the production value. You have J.C. Shandar, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. I liked him most violent in the year. Also, you mentioned Catherine Bigelow was going to direct this film. Mark Bowl, who wrote Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30, he wrote this as well. So you have an Oscar-winning screenwriter writing this. So from every front, it's a full-on Hollywood production movie that just happens to be on Netflix. I don't know if this is going to be the one. Is there a reason why it's on Netflix? Did it not test well? I don't know. But if it's not this one, it's going to be one eventually. And come on, The Irishman from Martin Scorsese, there's no way that one is going to suck. You know what I mean? So
knock on wood.
Yeah.
I'm knocking on the wooden dolphin.
Okay. But
I have confidence in this movie because it looks so good, but I get excited about this because nobody loves not leaving their house more than I do. I just feel like it hasn't quite happened yet. Like I put on Mowgli this weekend because I was staying at the lovely Residence Inn in Boise, and Residence Inn, man, Marriott really stepping their game up because the TVs in there, they're connected to Netflix and Amazon Prime and all this stuff, so you can just sign into your account and just watch it on the big screen. So that's what when I wasn't on stage, I was writing some jokes, but mostly I was just watching Bodyguard on Netflix. That's what hooked me. But I tried to watch Mowgli, and I watched like 15, 20 minutes of it, and it was okay. I was getting into it. Just felt like I'd seen this a couple years ago, which I have for the most part. So I didn't make it through all of Mowgli yet. And I'm waiting for that movie. Again, Triple Frontier. As soon as I saw it, made me want to run out and make a fort in the woods like I did when I was a kid. I just hope the movie pays off because, man, did that trailer really got me. I'm hyped. I don't think any of them survive. I think maybe Pedro Pascal and maybe Oscar Isaac survived this mission. But that's it. I think Affleck's toast. I think Hedlund, Hunnam, I think they're toast.
I think they're all dead.
You think they're all dead?
I think they don't make it.
All right.
I don't know.
Mark
Maybe. Or do they get away with it and they lose just a few?
Well, now you're just asking questions. I'm not even making a prediction anymore.
Does the Predator show up?
I don't think.
It's a shared universe?
I think you're a little confused as to your Charlie Hunnam films. But Charlie Hunnam was in The Predator, right?
I have no
idea.
idea.
Do we have a dream? Did that?
No, that was not. That's what's his face?
Oh, yeah.
From Narcos.
Yeah.
And Logan.
There you
Why
go.
am I forgetting his name?
I don't know. This is why I'm.
Thank you, Boyd Holbrook.
This is why.
That's it. Schmoedown.
This is why I announced Schmoedown now.
Yeah.
This is why
I'm slow
I
today.
don't compete. I got used to. All right, we're going to move on to your live Twitter questions. But first, got a stack day tomorrow on Collider in our podcast forums. You can check out the Witching Hour also on video. You can check out Collider Live. That is 10 a.m. to noon in the PST. Hey, you produced that.
I do.
On Collider Live tomorrow?
You are indeed on
Sweet.
Collider Live tomorrow. A lot of people were calling for you the past few days here,
Thanks,
Mr.
Mom.
Ellis.
I appreciate it.
You're like, like we got people like unfollow. Where's Ellis? And I was like, all right, let's make something happen.
Okay, first of all, thank you. That's awesome. Second of all, take it easy. Been busy. Been running around doing a lot of stuff in town the last couple of weeks, but I am back on Collider Live tomorrow. Hope to join some next week too. Got on a movie trivia Schmoedown as we ramp towards the spectacular MMA takedown, and of course, right here, Movie Talk, 4 p.m. your normal date and time. All right, kids, y'all ready for some live Twitter questions? These are live. Anything can happen.
Oh,
it's
boy.
all possible, but it's probably going to be a question about the Snyder Cut, and that is the Quantum Samurai. And he says, what do y'all think about Jason Momoa's comments when asked about the Snyder Cut on MTV Online Friday? So, quick recap. The Quantum Samurai, I'm sure already knows this. Jason Momoa was being interviewed by MTV promoting Aquaman. They asked him about the Snyder Cut, and I want to make sure I get this quote right, except for the F-bomb, because I know for a fact we have little kids watching the show right now. Say hi to, I'll get your name in a minute. I'm obsessed with the Snyder Cut too, Momoa replied. That's just one thing that sucks with our business, where you can't just speak your mind, but yeah, I want to see it. Jason Momoa wants to see it. Is this more of a vote of confidence in the Snyder Cut, or is this a dig at Justice League?
I don't know. I mean, if it's out there, I'd want to see it too. I believe that there might have been a strung together bunch of scenes that Snyder cut with some previs in there, maybe some finished stuff. But from what I believe, I don't think from what I've heard, Wall Street Journal did a report that said that doesn't exist. I tend to believe them. But if there is one out there, I'd take it. But I'm like Momoa. I'm a fan of Man of Steel very much. That's my favorite in the DCEU. I'm a fan of Batman v Superman. And Justice League was Frankenstein's monster to me. I did not enjoy that movie. I think it's worse. It's the worst movie in the DCU for me. So the idea of a better version, Zack Snyder's vision, if that's a possibility, I'm with Momoa. I would love to see it. I just don't think it's out there.
Yeah, I don't think it's out there, Dennis. I don't think it's out there in any finished form. I think you could sit down, have a great conversation with Zack Snyder, and he would tell you how it would play out. Maybe even put on Justice League, and then he'd say, well, now here's where I would have taken this and all that stuff. Is there anything more to it than that? Do you think we would ever actually see
I don't think so.
Snyder cut?
I don't believe there's probably enough there to make and plus they'd have to invest millions of dollars into visual effects.
Yep.
Maybe they shot a bunch of scenes because after Joss Whedon took over, they decided to throw those scenes out, and they're not going to complete them. So I just don't think it's worth it. So if maybe there could possibly be a way, but you'd have to invest so much money that they wouldn't do it. For me, the thing is I would want to see it out of curiosity's sake.
Yeah.
I'd want to see it, but that doesn't mean it's a better movie. Everyone's like acting like this cut is like when it comes out, you're gonna watch it and be like, oh my god,
right?
Justice League's amazing. I didn't mind Justice League. I enjoyed a good porter. It was a Frankenstein's monster, but it was the situation.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like I don't really blame Zack Snyder. I don't blame Joss Whedon. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, this is what you're dealt with and what you had to do with it. I'd want to see it for curiosity's sake. Just doesn't mean that it's going to be some sort of mass. I think people have built it up in their head. Like this Snyder Cut's going to come out one day and like, oh my God, you see that masterpiece right there.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen.
All right. I want to thank Dennis and Reilly for taking time out of their busy schedule of picketing outside Warner Brothers, demanding to see the Snyder Cut. Laney DeGraw is the name. Hey, Laney, say hi to you. And is it your nephew? Is it your son? Whoever it is, whoever that little kid is, I think they're fans of you because she sent me a picture of the kid watching you on camera. So you want to say hi to Laney DeGraw and family?
Well, hi. Good to see you. Who's a fan of me? Come on. Is it Matthew Kearns?
Started out. we know Matthew Kearns. I think you're a fan of Matthew Kearns at this point.
I am a big fan of Matthew Kearns.
He's a little more legendary than Mark Yodi Riley.
Yeah.
João Paulo says, I want to know if Steven invited you guys to come to the Comic-Con experience in Brazil with him next year. Did he? Dennis, are we invited to Brazil next year?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think Steven wants to share that experience with us. I think Frosty wants to go there solo. People don't know Frosty. He loves traveling.
Oh yeah,
he loves going to all the different places, and maybe we just kind of ruin his trip.
Wouldn't you figure by now he has some sort of hookup in Brazil? That he can get some sort of hotel discount, like a group rate or something.
Probably.
Is there a residence in Brazil where I can stay home and watch Netflix? I mean,
I'd love to go.
Yeah.
He has invited me.
Right.
Has he invited you?
Nope. That's a negatory. Yeah, I would love to go, but yeah, no invite. I think that's he did this last year as well, so I think that's his. We had that joke for many days. Like, you going to Brazil?
Yes.
You going to Brazil? So good. Hey, he's got it covered.
Yes.
So I don't know who his contact is there because he made it, we didn't.
Yeah. Well, Joe, we'll work on that for you. M. Brenner closes us out here today on this Monday edition of Movie Talk and says, what is the worst part of your favorite movie? The worst part. First of all, let's all say what our favorite movies are. My favorite movie is Return of the Jedi, which is a hard movie to admit because now I have to think about what my worst part of that movie is. Reilly, what is your favorite movie?
Well, Jaws.
Okay. Dennis?
Goodfellas.
Okay. What is the worst part of your favorite movie?
Okay. That's easy. None of it.
You can't.
Okay, I know. I'm trying.
Literally.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, the saddest part of Return of the Jedi, the one that I can't even watch.
I know you're going.
Is that look in A New Hope, the Death Star blew up a planet full of people, Alderaan, and it was sad. In Return of the Jedi, one Ewok gets shot, and the other Ewok stops running, and he finds out his friend ain't gonna make it, and he just lays there, and it's like he'd rather die with his friend than just keep on living. And I think it's something that we can all learn a little something from Ewoks, Dennis.
Yeah.
That's not the worst part of the movie. That's the one that gets me emotional. I think the worst part of Return of the Jedi, to be honest with you, is just the fact that everybody saw that movie and then they're like, okay, well, Darth Vader's redeemed. He's a good guy again. Like George Lucas even said that the trilogy, it's about the rise, the fall, and redemption of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It takes more than an apology
How about
to redeem yourself after you murdered children and blew up planets. Have you been on Twitter? Apology. It takes a lot more than an apology to get a career back on track. This is Darth Vader we're talking about. You can't just take off your helmet and be like, you know what, you and your sister, you did. Yeah, I raised you kids right. Anyway, I'll see you when I'm all blue and glowy. Doesn't work like that, Vader. You can't just show up to work on Monday like nothing happened. Now I'm getting heated.
Here I thought Anakin was from Tatooine and not Brooklyn.
You and your twin
Hey,
leg.
I got a lightsaber right here.
Yeah. Tell your sister she was right about me.
Yeah, she was right. You know,
Yeah.
now step back. I got to disappear.
It's an emotional moment. It gave Luke some satisfaction. I'm just saying, Darth Vader, redeem is a very strong word.
Oh, God. I'm still, yeah. Well,
Okay, Dennis, do you have a part of Goodfellas that just doesn't
I wouldn't
work?
say it's the worst part. I just think it's something I don't know if I needed, but the breaking of the fourth wall at the very end with Ray Liotta.
Oh.
I don't have to. Like, it's not.
Where what does he do? He looks at the camera?
Yes.
He finally
As
looks at the
he gets
camera.
He's in
paper?
court. He's in court,
Oh,
and as
right.
he's talking, and then he looks right at the camera and
Yeah.
starts, going into. It doesn't bother me, but at the same time, like,
it's jarring.
It is.
It's a little jarring, but I think by design, he's the narrator
Yeah,
of the movie,
yeah.
and then he breaks the fourth wall, and finally, it's like you can surmise that he was narrating everything before he went up to testify.
So-
Not as, I mean, look, the biggest crime that Goodfellas committed, the movie, not the people in it, is probably trying to convince us that De Niro's 29. Like-
but the story they needed to tell from, and they didn't have de-aging. They don't have the de-aging process they have now. Like, look at Nick Fury, like in the Captain Marvel trailer, and like Robert Redford.
I love Robert De Niro, Dennis. He's not 29.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Okay, we've given you time to think about it. I know you
Yeah.
love Jaws.
I know.
What's the worst part of Jaws?
I would say it's got to be the fact that Pippet, we never know what happened. We assume the dog was eaten.
You're still rooting for the dog?
I just want an answer. I just want an answer. I think it's I think it could have been. See, I'm reaching because I'm really trying to find a moment that is quote unquote the worst. You could say that that's the worst because the dog didn't make it. You could say that it's the worst.
There you go. That's fair.
Yeah, you could say it's the worst because it's a little vague as to, but did the shark eat it? I mean, you assume it did, but that's the worst for me.
I think the worst part of Jaws is also a part that I will not ever want to cut from Jaws, and it's when they ask him when he's talking about it's a tiger shark, and the other guy's like,
Oh, what? Oh, yeah, you gotta keep that.
It's
though.
funny. It
so
works.
funny.
It's a nice little moment of levity in the movie, which otherwise is, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but man, there's a shark and he's terrorizing a town.
Yeah.
We got to go get him. We don't have cell phones, so we just got to go on a boat like the old days. Well, thank you for joining us for Collider Movie Talk here today. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about that Spider-Man Far From Home trailer. Who knows what Jake Gyllenhaal is going to look like with a big giant fishbowl on his head, but we are going to be sure to report it to you as soon as we get that trailer with all of the other day's movie news. Thank you to Mark Yodi Reilly. Thank you to Dennis Tzeng for stepping in on a Monday. All three of us are off to Aquaman today. The two of us are off to Aquaman tonight. And we will see you all tomorrow. Sorry, Mark Reilly. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.